Hey, welcome back to Survival Dispatch. We're with Rocco, Division III Weapons, with one of my favorite military rifles of all time, the Galil. And I know you're a big Galil fan.
I am.
You built this.
Yes, sir.
Basically. This is the little gun safety here. Obviously, we're empty. We always want to be a good example for that as well. But the Galil, man, what can you say about it? Developed back in what was like 1960. Israel Galil developed this gun based on the Finnish. Was it the M62?
It's the Valmet.
Which was it was a knockoff of the AK, but with a little better gas system. But you're the expert here. Well, I'm the enthusiast. I can't wait to shoot this, but I want to know, what's the history. What is this? What are we looking at here?
The one thing I will say is the Finnish always have an ability to take Russian weapons and make them better. And that's kind of what happened with the milled AK. They turned to the Valmet, excuse me. And then the Israelis basically copied that, but in a different caliber. I think the Valmets were at 7.62 and by 39, and these are in 5.56. Not all of them, but this particular one is in 5.56, and the originals were in 5.56. This is the SAR model.
Which was the short-barreled?
The short-barreled rifle, yes.
Short assault rifles, what they call it.
And then the longer one was called the ARM. I have some ARMs in production, but they're not ready yet.
Right.
So this is the essentially the short-barreled rifle version, which this is a pistol in its configuration right now, but because the ATF ruling that just came out like yesterday.
This is a folding brace currently on it.
Yeah, it's a CNC Warrior brace. We'll be converting these with the regular stocks and some longer pinned and welded flash hiders to make these into rifles, and they will be available. But I can, would you like me to go over some of the features of it?
Yes, please. Yes, okay. Absolutely. Now, what was this when you first got it? What's this based on?
This was a 80% receiver made by a company called Tort. Tort is well known for making the best Galil receivers that are currently available. And I have to say they've been really great to work with, and they do make a really good product. It came to us, basically none of the fire control holes have been drilled, your typical 80% stuff. None of the holes on the bottom of the receiver other than the magazine well were there, and we milled all of those out to kind of our own specifications. We actually took receivers, the cut receivers that come in your kits, the actual Israeli receivers, and model our dimensions off of theirs.
But you can control those tolerances even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm assuming you have tighter tolerances.
Yeah, these pins are wickedly, wickedly tight, as they should be. So what we've done is we took that receiver, milled it out to 100% receiver. We took the time. There's a few things with Galils that you have to know how to do that are not typical for a normal AK build or a regular AKM or even a milled AK. You have to fit the bullet guide. That is a major thing. The bullet guide essentially has three functions. One, it serves as the top end of the magazine seat, essentially, for the front of the magazine. It's the top end of that.
Okay.
Two, it turns the bolt. As the bolt goes forward, that's the ramp that turns the bolt.
Yep.
And three, it's a bullet guide, like it says, right? So it helps guide the bullet up into the chamber. A lot of these that are made, especially by people who don't really know what they're doing, these bullet guides are not properly fit.
Right.
They need to be flush with the bottom part of that receiver right there.
And that sometimes all magazines won't necessarily work with that guide.
Yeah, well, it leads to other issues that are significantly worse. You have to have because Galil barrels are actually turned in; they're not press fit. An AKM barrel is pushed into place to set headspace and then set with a pin.
Yep.
These are actually screwed into place. Because they're screwed into place, things like the handguard retainer notch, the gas port, and the extractor notch is not present on the barrel at all. So we turn those in, we set the headspace, make sure the headspace is correct. There's also something called bolt gap on a Galil, where when the bolt is closed on a cartridge, there should be between 5 and 10 thousandths space between the front of the bolt and the rear of the barrel. Otherwise, you get the bolt leaning into the barrel, and that's a problem. Improper bullet guide placement can cause issues like that as well.
Right.
So they've been head spaced by us. Once they were head spaced, bullet gap was set. Bullet gap was set. These barrels were sent off to be nitrided.
Right.
All right. So the barrels are nitrided. They come back to us.
And I want to speak to that just a minute. If you're not familiar with nitriding, it's and I want you to speak to this, but it's a process that makes the finish of that metal much more durable and corrosion resistant.
Yeah, it's great for the inside of barrels. Like if you're not going to chrome plate or you're not going to melanite, like nitride's a good option.
Yep.
So then we also you have to, because so when you buy an AK kit, you're getting a trunnion and a bolt, those two have already been mated together by being fired God knows how many times. On this, you do have to essentially mate the bolt to the receiver, and we do that by a process called lapping, which is like if you've ever done valves on an engine, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
You use a grinding compound, and you sit there and you work and work and work
it out
until you have 100% or 95%, 98% contact on both sides of those lugs.
Yeah.
We do that actually before the barrel gets sent off. I forgot to mention that part. So that is all done just to have proper headspace.
How long does this whole process take?
It takes quite a while, and these are quite expensive because there is a lot of man hours. I mean, the process of doing all that, what I talked about, screwing the barrel in, making sure all that the bolt gap is correct, that the headspace is correct, lapping in the lugs, and then cutting the handguard retainer cap notch, the gas port, and doing the extractor notch. I mean, all that takes about 10 hours worth of labor. It takes some time. And a lot of that is going to be dependent on how long it takes you to lap it in. Sometimes you get lucky. They lap in super quickly. Other times it takes you 3 times as long. That's really where the time comes in.
Yeah. I just want to point out a couple things. The folks who may not be familiar with Galils, I mean, this is a step up above an AK.
Yeah.
Features that the AK doesn't have. It's got the turned up bolt, which allows you to do a palm. You don't have to reach all the way over. You can actually activate it here. And you have ambi controls. So not just this lever, but also you can activate the controls with your thumb as well. And a better gas system. Basically.
Better gas system.
Or upgraded, I should say, right?
So a couple other things that we do. These bolt handles are pretty much always destroyed on kits because, soldiers are going to be soldiers and they get beat up and thrown in trucks and whatnot. So I have a friend of ours. I'm going to put a shout out to Austin at GalilHub.com. He manufactures a lot of Galil parts, and we made these weapons in conjunction with him. I would know nothing about building Galils if it wasn't for him. The guy's he's the Galil guru.
I follow him on Instagram.
Do you really? Yeah. So he made these bolt handles and brace those in. We did. We also on the front sights we actually have like a mandrel that we use to take the front sights back to round because they're never round.
Right.
They're always oval or beat up.
Good
The front sight hood. So we do that with them as well. Other things that we do that are kind of interesting is we've got our selector markings all in Hebrew.
I noticed that right away. Yeah. I'm glad
and
you
on this
pointed
side,
that out.
it's your typical SAR engravings. We do a engraving of the IDF logo here. And then our Division 3 logo is up here. Well, they had CNC Warrior braces on them, but they won't. They'll just have regular stocks on them. We also have gone through in a very meticulous process and laser engraved pretty much every single important part with the number that matches the serial number. So these all are the dust covers are marked, the bolts are marked, the bolt carrier is marked, the gas tube is marked. So, in the process of, really, it's for us in the process of assembly so we don't mix anything up.
Yeah, so all the Galils that you built are all the same caliber?
They're all going to be 5.56 for now.
Perfect.
Until if I get a source of 5.45s, I'll build those in a heartbeat.
Sure.
Until that time, they're all going to be 5.56.
Yeah, awesome.
And then the magazines have all been Cerakoted. All of these get Cerakoted. This is Cerakoted in kind of a battle-worn finish.
Yeah.
I wanted this to look like you picked it up off of a battlefield in North Africa.
That's kind of what it looks like. You even have, is this the original furniture?
That's the original furniture that came with the kit, and we cleaned it up a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we did is on the selector notches here. I mean, obviously you have your full auto selector, which this isn't full auto. Right. But the selector notches on these are rather shallow and didn't really seem to work all that well. So I actually came in with a 90-degree included angle cutter and made this a little bit deeper, so you'll hear it pop right into place. Yeah, I was playing with it earlier, and I felt that engagement, and it wasn't stick. A lot of these AKs are real sticky. These selectors are real sticky, and you just did a super bang up job on this Galil. Yeah, how many did you make? We made 5. I've got 4 left. I sold one right off the bat to a gentleman who found us through Galil Hub that didn't even want it coated. He wanted it looking even more distressed. Wow. Because honestly, during the process of building these things, they're going in and out of vices, and they get beat up a little bit. Sure. And then generally speaking, we're going to sandblast them and recoat them with Cerakote. But the other thing I forgot to mention is that these dust covers have to be hand fitted. To each receiver. Okay. And that's done by, we actually put them in a mill at 11 degrees and take cuts across this until each one actually fits properly in place, because the sights on a Galil are on the dust cover. This
Yes.
dust cover
Yes.
can't be like an AK and be all rattly. It has to
Right.
really be on there to work
Their
properly.
gun's only as good as the sights are.
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
right?
That is very correct.
Cool.
We do also manufacture rails, Picatinny rail sections that can be welded onto the gas tube. Austin offers that as a service, but we manufacture the rail. So anybody who bought one of these, if they wanted an accessory rail up here to mount optics, they just send that to him and he'll weld it right on there.
Do you think you can mount one low enough to somewhat co-witness with the iron sights? Maybe lower third?
If you used something like a Holosun 40507,
That's what I was thinking.
with
A small reflex.
a small reflex with a Picatinny adapter, I believe you could probably get down low enough to actually use the sights. Yes.
Well, beautiful. Can we run a few rounds through it?
Well, I think we kind of have to, don't we?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.